Hello, we are at the top of the hexagram. We're in gate 43 and we are in the 6th line. This is called breakthrough, and the grounding is found in gate 23 called fusion. So breakthrough, this is the 6th line here that is actually taking the name of the hexagram. The Chinese I Ching, traditionally they called this gate, or this hexagram in their terms, would have been called breakthrough. And it is the potential for insight. The 6th line is a line of transition. It's a mutative line in a mutative circuit. Once you get to the end of the process in the 43rd gate, the 6th line is no longer interested in the knowing itself, but whether that knowing is mutative, because only when it is mutative is it really something. It's looking for that perfect one-night stand or the blaze of glory, or whatever 6th-line keynote you want to use. It is looking for something that is beyond the knowing, and it has the capacity to recognize that the individual process can always be mutative, and so it is looking for the mutative potential. This line goes through an enormous transformation when knowing occurs, which is why we have the name breakthrough. In the exaltation, actualization and centering that in breakthrough naturally establish both internally and externally a new order. Unique knowing that is both personally and collectively of value. Everything gets wiped out in that moment of breakthrough. The moment that the new knowing is there, the only thing that is interesting to this kind of mind is that it is already mutative. It will erase all kinds of things. It will be the knowing that this mind is focused on, but not focused in terms of explaining it, but more in the waiting for the mutation to take hold, being very fixed on that. It's always looking to see where the mutation is. It can be a very difficult line, because what it's telling us is that in the moment that you know something, it automatically has to become mutative. And you have to be able to live off that mutation right away. Individuality is very existential. Well, it's now. I've got to live out this mutation now. I've got to get this mutation to take hold right away. It's kind of instant gratification, instant mutative gratification. They go through their 3rd line expediency, and they go through the process of trying to get their knowing out, of having to deal with the other. But what they really want is to get to the explanation, and then everything else follows. The 43-6 can be really deep. Ra said that if you have children or young people in your life who carry mental individuality, they're going to have a lot of trouble in school, because there are only certain subjects that will truly be of interest to them, and only certain teachers that they will be able to abide. It's very difficult to teach a 43-23. And it takes a very talented, patient teacher to begin at the beginning and to nurture this kind of mind. So it's important that they are encouraged, these children, to go deep into the things that they like, because that's where their mental depth will grow. And to teach them not to be afraid of their dislike or their lack of interest in other things, because individuals are like that. They're quirky. But what they really like when they're young, if they're encouraged to, explore it, to start at the ground floor, this can be their unique gift, which will emerge later in life, because they will have a solid foundation to base their explanation on. Here in the 43-6, they can get to the point where they wait long enough in their knowing process to be clear in their ability to be able to explain it. And if not, they say nothing. They will simply stand there, and they can tell you whether the knowing that is out there, the explanations that are out there, whether they're possible or not, valid or not, mutative or not. But its wisdom is the recognition that mutation must take hold immediately, or it's not valid. It's no good if after an explanation somebody says, yeah, I don't quite know what you mean. This is the greatest tragedy for a 43-6. There is fear in all of the awareness centers. So the fear of the 43, the fear of the mind, which is we term anxiety, this is that no one will know what they mean. Well, and there is the fear of rejection that might come from that. There can be a discomfort and a loneliness here because of that. In the detriment, we have an ego tendency that in breakthrough sees justification of its lesser attributes and carries them over into the new order, where the value of knowing is more important than other aspects of the life. This is where things can get a little bit weird. This is the mad scientist who is so absorbed in their knowing that they forget to wash or eat or sleep. They forget the world outside. They forget their family, their children, They're gone in their knowing, and they can be very deluded in their hoping for the possibility of mutation to come along. Mutation, when it takes hold, is a cleanser that eliminates the old. And one of the things about the transpersonal process of the individual is that there's always a fear. They have to let people kind of still have access to the old. Because one of the fears is that if they take the old away from them, they won't be able to safely bring them into the mutation. The knower can know many things, but out of the many things that a knower can know, it's sounding like a rhyme, isn't it? Like a limerick. Out of the many things that a knower can know, there are very few of those things that they can actually explain. And as we know now, through this journey through 43, what the knower cannot explain will be disregarded and loses all of its mutative power. What is worthy of knowing? This is one of the most important inner processes that goes on in an individual. Individuals cannot do anything well unless they start at the very beginning. If you meet an individual mind, it will seem like they know a lot, because they know a little of this and a little of that. But if you take them a couple of steps below that level, oops, game over, because they really don't know. They're simply very quick and they can pick up knowing at a surface level. For a knower to really have their life's work, to really be able to fulfill themselves, they must have a focus in their knowing. Just one thing, so that they can learn how to explain it. And it's not the knowing that's important, it's the ability to be able to explain it. That's what's important. And when you take that down into the body of the individual, it's the ability to live it out in the form, as an example, as a role model for others. Wherever you see individuality in your chart, have a look at those gates. Look at what you've got in individual circuitry. And everyone has something. There are a lot of individual gates. Everybody has something. And notice within these gates, within the quality or the explanation of these gates, notice that these are places where you have to explain yourself. This is a place where you can be a mutative force. So the moon, no, not the moon, the wheel, the wheel is moving on. It's turning, the wheel turns today, this transitional force of gate 6. Oh, goodness. Like control delete. Should we start this sentence again? Okay, so the 6th line is a transitional line, and of course we're moving on. We've reached the end of this particular hexagram, and the movement in the wheel is taking us further into mutation, further into individuality. We have had 2 individual gates in a row now, and there's another 2 coming. And the moment that we get to the point of real breakthrough, the moment that we have a mutative insight, what it generates is power and energy. It allows us to have a foot on the gas pedal so that we can press that pedal down and go. We've got the juice. We can drive off now. The sun is moving into gate 14. Possession in great measure. The cart piled high with goods. No other gate offers more success, more power, more wealth, oh, more grandeur. Isn't that a wonderful word? More grandeur. We can really gleam in gate 14. This is, that 14 offers all of this. And it gets all of this when its energy is there for the empowerment of explanations and examples that work, that are mutative. When the 14 is involved in a true mutative process, it becomes very successful. Venus moved into gate 58 at midnight, bringing us a channel with the South Node in gate 18. This is the logical collective channel of judgment, finding the flaws in the pattern and correcting them in order for the future evolution of the species. We have to keep moving forward, and it's really best if we do that with some kind of a security. This channel can lead us to challenge security. No, challenge authority in order to make sure that we are safe and secure, that those who are in positions of authority have our best interests at heart. This is what this channel likes. Look at it. Have a look at that. The 58 brings the joy, the fuel for correction, the fuel for mastering details with enthusiasm. The 18 brings in the corrective process. So the moon has been in gate 2 since 0411. This is the G center gate of direction, the seat of the magnetic monopole, holding us together in the illusion of our separateness and taking us on our perfect trajectory. It moves into gate 23 at 1312. This is our current earth gate, the individual throat gate that says, I know. And more individuality as the moon transits into gate 8. At 22:15, the gate of contribution, a throat gate with the voice that says, I can. Uranus is currently transiting gate 8 as well, so we have a need here to follow our own path, expressing ourselves in unique ways in order to empower others. Although there's no doing in this process, it's actually a byproduct of living an authentic individual life. And finally, the moon moves into gate 20 at 0720, an individual throat gate that says, I am now. This is the most existential of all the gates. It's the gate of contemplation. The throat is not a motor and it is not aware. It can only express the center that it is conditioned by through definition. The 20 can bring energy from the sacral through the 24 and the channel of charisma. It can bring in the behavior of the self from the 10th gate in the G center through the channel of awakening, and the awareness of gate 57 in the splenic center through the channel of the brain wave. Well, here we are, the end of another gate. So I'll be back tomorrow with an overview on gate 14 and the first line of gate 14. I hope you can join me then. And yeah, please leave any comments that you have below these the videos. If I have not replied to a comment that you've made, please nudge me, because I do try to reply to all of them and I keep an eye on the various outlets for these videos. And I do really enjoy having a connection with you guys who are watching what I am offering. See you for gate 14 and possession in great measure. Bring your cart. Let's fill our carts with wonderful resources and goods and empowering insight. Can you fill a cart with empowering insights? Shall we try? Okay, let's do that. I will see you tomorrow, and until then, as always, and with heartfelt, this isn't just a kind of, nice byline tag thing that I throw on the end. Really, truly, yeah. Be gentle with yourselves, because you're gorgeous, and world wouldn't be the same without you. Thank you.